Well, guys, we got 10 movies in the Conjuring universe, so let's rank them. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm the movie ranker, and today I'm ranking all 10 Conjuring movies from worst to best. Quite the franchise, and apparently they just announced that this was phase 1 and we're going to get phase 2. Don't see how that's going to work. Not excited about that, but there are some good movies in this franchise. Definitely some duds as well. We're going to get right into it. Make sure you drop your rankings down below in the comment section. Would love to see them. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Also, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy rankings like this. Horror only in October, guys, on the channel, so stay tuned for more horror. And without wasting any more time, let's rank them. So for me, easily coming into last place at number 10 is The Curse of La Llorona. Now, I know the makers of The Conjuring try to say, yeah, but this isn't really part of the franchise. No, this isn't part of it. It's like, well, then why would you put the priest from Annabelle in here and also show a flashback of a scene from the Annabelle movie? It's like, just because your movie sucks, you can't just delete it or remove it from the universe, you know? It is what it is. It's there. Own it. But this movie sucks. It's pretty damn bad. One of the only positives is the folklore itself of the Curse of La Llorona. That's interesting, but it's not original. I mean, they just stole this from Mexican folklore and even screwed that up. We got Linda Cardellini in here as the main actress. She's a mother, a social worker type, and she doesn't save this movie either. I love seeing her and everything as Velma and Scooby-Doo and everything. And we do get a cool scene with her kids watching the animated Scooby-Doo. I'm like, is that a little Easter egg? But I feel like the writers of this movie are too dumb for stuff like that. Yeah, just a terrible movie. Not scary. Doesn't have any atmosphere or tension. I don't think the acting is very good. It feels very wooden. They try to talk about these themes of child abuse, you know, with La Llorona abusing the children before killing them, ultimately drowning them usually. And how, you know, when children get abused by one of their parents, they usually keep quiet and don't want to say nothing and that. I get that. But it doesn't work in this case. When you got this cursed lady trying to kill you and hurting you, why wouldn't you talk to your parents? Why would you try to keep that a secret? I know it would sound kind of crazy saying this demon or ghost is messing with you, but it's better than staying silent. Like, again, I get it when it's the parent that's doing it to the kid, why they would stay silent. It would make more sense in that regard. But yeah, it doesn't work with this curse. And they try like questioning the mom, like, are you abusing the kids? It's like she's a social worker. She's the one who deals with this type of thing. So I don't know. It's all handled very poorly if they were trying to deal with themes of abuse, and that it is not handled well at all. And lastly, the kids in this movie are so dumb. Let me tell you, the decisions they make are foolish, let me tell you. And the mom, again, leaving her kids alone for most of the runtime when you know there's a curse. Even when she figures it out, she seems to still leave the kids alone and they get into trouble and whatnot. There's one scene in particular with the little girl trying to get her doll. It's outside the door, but there's this line at the door that's blocking the demon from coming in, or the ghost or whatever. But she wants her doll so bad, so she goes over the line to get it, and it's like, come on, how old are you? You're obviously not scared of this demon ghost thing, because you guys are doing everything you can to get killed by her. Not my movie, let me tell you. It's not scary. It's not good. Like I said, wooden acting. There's nothing good about this film. I think there can be a good story told about this folklore, but this just isn't it. Coming up next at number 9, I'm going with The Nun 2. Very surprised at this one because I haven't watched it. This is my first time watch of this one. And I heard so many good things. Oh, this is so much better than the first Nun. People praising it and everything. While it does do a few things better than the original, this is not a better movie in my opinion. This sucked, man. It felt pointless. Because for one thing, we already seen Valak in the future. So we know she's not really getting defeated in this. Number 2, you got the Frenchie back in this, and from Quebec, and we find out in the future, we already know that the Warrens do an exorcism on him and everything in the future once again. So we know nothing's really going to get resolved in this film. And it's just really frustrating because, like I said, it just feels pointless. And they leave like the gothic castle type environment of the first movie for France. And it just feels like we're hopping around to different places, going from point A to point B. Eventually defeating the nun with St. Lucy's eyes. She's after the eyes to get like her powers even stronger or whatever, Valak. I don't know. It's just a dumb story, man, because they end up using the eyes against her at the end to defeat her or to subdue her or whatever. It's dumb. Like I said, it doesn't make any sense why this even exists. But I will give a few positives. I think it does have some nice visuals at times when in terms of the scares. It's not just nonstop cheap jump scares like the first Nun, so I appreciate that as well. Felt like they tried a little bit harder with the story, but there was just no point in telling this story, in my opinion. One other last positive, I do like that they mention Saint Lucy and how she, Saint Irene, Sister Irene, I mean, and even Lorraine Warren are both descendants of Saint Lucy, which explains their gifts. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Not historically accurate or nothing like that, but for this movie, I was like, that's cool. Now I know why. For one thing, why they both have gifts, Lorraine and Sister Irene, but also why they look similar, because when you go down their family line, St. Lucy's there. So I liked the little bit of added stuff in here. For the most part, I was not a fan of this movie, and I was so surprised that I preferred the first Nun to this. Coming up next, at number 8, I'm going with the movie Annabelle. Some decisions in this franchise make no sense to me. Like, why would you give the director of Mortal Kombat Annihilation and Butterfly Effect 2, two terrible movies, the keys to this movie? Be like, okay, you get to make the Annabelle movie. It's like, why? Why this guy? I never understood that. And the movie's not good, let me tell you. Again, starting with the positives, I think that the satanic cult aspect of this film is pretty cool, and how Annabelle ends up becoming Annabelle in this film, within this film. I thought that was all handled pretty well, was pretty interesting. But then the rest of the movie isn't interesting at all. I heard someone say before that if you take the main characters in this film and replace them with cardboard cutouts, it changes nothing. And it's true, because we really know nothing. There's no character development at all in this film. I mean, the father of the baby is a doctor. That's basically all I know. And the mother was obviously pregnant, and she liked collecting dolls. I don't know much more about these characters, and we spent a lot of time with them. It's just that they're really badly written, let me tell you. I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself with these movies, but again, this movie is not scary at all. It doesn't have very much good atmosphere. There's maybe like one scene with the elevator, which is kind of has some tension, but besides from that, it's just all, again, cheap jump scares which lead to nothing. No one ever really feels like they're in danger, because they just like pop out, run away, and you wait for them to return and haunt you again. And I just hate that. It's kind of bad when Annabelle, the little bit of screen time she had in the first Conjuring movie, is better than her entire movie. Like, it's just mind-boggling to me. Evelyn, I'm pretty sure that was her name. The friend, she's like owns a library or whatever. The black lady who lost her daughter. She's the most compelling character in here, and she's a side character, and she has the most development and everything. And she's the only redeemable thing about this film to me, and how she makes the sacrifice at the end to keep the baby alive and keep the mother alive. So it takes her soul instead. So yeah, she's easily the best character in here, and she's a random side character. So that's pretty terrible if you ask me. Coming up next at number 7, I'm going with the movie The Nun. Huge surprise here. I was sure this was going to be last place, because I only watched this when it came out, and I did not like it at all. On rewatch, I still don't think it's good, but it's more of a mixed bag than a bad movie, personally, for me. Again, Valak, such a great villain, no matter what movie she's in. 2, I think the setting, the location is awesome in Romania at this like gothic type castle that the church is using. I think it's called an abbey in this. I think that's really cool. I think the little backstory on how Valak was created with this portal to hell, basically this gateway, and how it eventually got sealed off. But when World War II, the bombs going off, it kind of broke loose and started leaking out the evil, basically. I like all that. Very cool backstory. What I don't like in this film is from the middle point on, it's a lot of just running around this castle aimlessly with Valak popping up, going up, just startling you. And again, she's not really doing a whole lot to hurt you or anything. She's just like, and then you run, and then she'll eventually pop up again. Again, a problem with a lot of these movies, but this one seems to do it a lot. Just her randomly popping up with a ton of cheap jump scares. Like I said, luckily, I like the cast, I like the characters, I like the setting, I like the villain. So there's more to like in this. Again, it's not a good movie though. I also like how this movie made that connection with Frenchie, Maurice, and the exorcism in the Conjuring, how he ends up being in this, and you kind of see how that happened. I thought that was very cool as well. Just again, too many cheap jump scares, too much running around with nothing happening at a certain point, and casting Vera Farmiga's sister as the lead here, but not have her be related or anything, or have anything to do with Lorraine, is confusing. You know, you're like, what? I don't know, especially how it wasn't really made part of the plot at this point. It's very confusing. Taysa, I think her name is, Farminga. She does a great job acting wise and everything. And I like how she's a different type of nun. How, like, you know, she has a different point of view on like the dinosaurs and everything. Really refreshing, especially in a lot of these horror movies. There's so many horror movies with nuns and they're usually always the same. So I do like how she's different. So, like I said, a lot of good in here. Couple weird decisions and a few bad things. So at the end of the day, it's a mixed bag. Coming up next at number 6, I'm going with The Conjuring Last Rites, the brand new movie from 2025. How does it hold up? It's okay. Obviously my least favorite of the Conjuring movies, but still decent. I feel like at this point they're starting to be borderline pass grade movies for me. One thing I really enjoyed about this is the amount of time we get to spend with the Warrens. I mean, it's over 2 hours long, this film, and a good chunk of that is dealing with the Warren family, especially Judy. She's older, she's a young adult by this point, and she's really suffering dealing with the visions and everything. She doesn't really know how to control them yet, and she has a direct connection with the villain in this film, and I love how that plays out. Don't want to go into too many spoilers regarding that, but I like that connection with the villain, the demon, as well as the connection between Lorraine and Ed too, how, you know, it goes back to their past, this movie, even though it's also at the end of their journey career-wise. And it was just so interesting, like, seeing the Warrens basically retired at this point due to like Ed's health and their age and stuff. So they're just like doing seminars and that on paranormal activity. And then a new case forces them back in, and with their daughter involved and everything. I just thought it was just a really brilliant way to tie these guys back into the story, but also wrap their side of the story up at the end of this. Like, they have a good send off for Ed and Lorraine, I feel, by the end of this film. And it kind of has potential to set up for future installments. Perhaps that's what they're planning on for phase 2. Still not a perfect movie though. I feel like the movie kind of forgets it's a horror movie. I feel like there's like barely any scares in here. There's a lot of drama, a lot of melodrama, and I feel like that's handled really well. I just found it odd. They kind of forgot it was a horror movie a lot of the times. And some of the horror elements they do have in here don't always quite work. Like, there's a scene with Annabelle, which doesn't really have any use in this movie. Like, I don't know why she's here, just to sell more tickets, I guess. Be like, hey, it's Annabelle. But yeah, there's a scene where she like grows like a giant and is chasing them, and it just looks ridiculous. I'm like, who is scared of a giant Annabelle? Not me. And I just thought the whole like cursed mirror angle of the film wasn't handled really well. I thought that could have been worked on, especially in the final act, how they deal with the demon in the mirror and all that. But for the most part, I did enjoy this. It is worth a watch, especially if you're a fan of the Warrens. I think you would really enjoy their send-off in this film. Reaching number 5, I'm going with Annabelle Comes Home. Now, very interesting movie. This one always kind of felt like it should be like PG-13. It doesn't really feel like an R-rated horror movie for the most part. I mean, there might be one or two little instances, but it feels like just like a darker episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark or something. And it does give a different flavor to this franchise. It was just nice, especially binging these. It's like, oh, we're finally doing a little bit something different. These kids end up at the Warrens' house when they're not there, right? Judy being the daughter, it's her birthday. And these other two kids are looking after her. And one of them ends up in the room, the museum with all the haunted shit with Annabelle and everything. And when you're watching this for the first time, or even on rewatch, I kind of forgot why she was there. I'm like, why is this character being so dumb? Why is she so horny to play with all this evil shit? Doesn't she know it's bad? But then you learn that she accidentally got her father killed in a car accident. She blames herself even though it wasn't her fault. And she's trying a way to bring her father back, or at least have another word with her father or whatever, get to see him again. So once you understand that, you're like, okay, I kind of understand where she's coming from now, even though dealing with evil shit is not a good way to get your loved ones back, never do that. But yeah, it's a lot of fun when they're in that little room because all of the haunted shit comes to life. We get to see a lot of items we never got to see before, one of them being like this TV that shows you like 10 or 15 seconds into the future. Just different things like this big samurai warrior thing. We got Annabelle itself. It's really cool. It's like, we get like a bunch of demons and a bunch of ghost shit instead of just one, So it makes the runtime definitely pass by quicker. It's entertaining. Also got like a werewolf going around outside picking people off, which is pretty cool. I also really like the kid that plays Judy in here. We get a few adaptations of Judy throughout these movies, different ages. And yeah, I just like her personality in this film, as well as the other two girls that are older than her. I think they do a good job in here as well. And it's always cool to see Ed and Lorraine, even though they're not in the film a lot, it still elevates an Annabelle movie when they're in there. Reaching my top 4, I'm going with The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Another huge surprise in my ranking. Another one I thought would be just above The Nun at the bottom of my ranking, because when I first watched it, didn't really care for it. I thought it was very forgettable, and yeah. Rewatching it this time though, especially binging 10 movies in a row in this franchise, it was actually really refreshing. Again, much like Annabelle Comes Home, they just change up the formula enough to keep things interesting, and it doesn't feel like they're repeating the same shit over and over. This time they're not dealing with technically like a demon itself. It's just satanic cultists, basically this witch, if you will, that's doing these curses and making like these witch totems and stuff to curse people. And I like the curse too, how the curse makes people murder someone and then kill themselves to complete the curse or whatever. Very interesting, and like I said, just having a human character as the villain just really changed things up and made it super interesting again. And it's really cool how the villain knows Ed and Lorraine are poking around her business, and she knows who they are, so she can make like witch totem for them too and curse them, while Ed and Lorraine doesn't have a clue who's doing this. So it makes for a real good investigation and the mystery in that, and trying to find out who this is. And when you find out it's just this retired priest's daughter who collected all the satanic stuff back in the day, you're like, that's pretty cool. I like how the whole story's tying in together and how the characters and all that. It was just very different. My one pet peeve though, and the problem I had the first time I watched this movie, was the whole court case. Like, going into this, you feel like it's going to be about a guy who caused this murder, and then I was interested to see the whole court case, how that going to play out. How are they going to try to get him off and say that he was possessed or whatever? Unfortunately, we only get a bit of the behind the scenes of the court stuff, and we get like a 10-second scene at the end just saying that he's guilty. And it's like, I really wish they would have dove into that a little bit more and go into more details and them trying to get him off, But aside from that, I think it is a pretty underrated movie in this franchise. I happen to have a lot of fun with it on my last rewatch. Again, it's not very scary or nothing. I feel like everything after the first two Conjuring movies kind of fails at creating the real creepy atmosphere, but it is what it is. And just the fact that they're making the Warrens more and more vulnerable as the movies go on, like Ed having the heart problems and, them getting older and everything, it just definitely adds in a certain urgency that we needed in these movies. Reaching my top 3. Now, these are 3 genuinely good movies. At number 3, Annabelle Creation. shows the startings of Annabelle, how the guy who makes puppets makes these dolls, lost his daughter, tried to get his daughter back through any means necessary, which accidentally created Annabelle and brought this demon into their world. Pretty interesting stuff. I just always found it dumb. If I do have one negative for this movie, is that why would that guy open up an orphanage knowing that he has Annabelle locked up in one of the rooms? It's like, I know that he explains that he was trying to like repent or try to like get in the good graces of God again by maybe if he looks after all these kids, he'll be forgiven, for what he did with the demon or bringing the demon into the world. I get that, but still, very dangerous orphanage when you have Annabelle in a room. And even though she's locked in there, she still has magical capabilities. Like she can unlock the door for the girl to come in and let her loose and everything. So I always thought that was foolish, but that's kind of my only little negative. I think the characters are amazing. They genuinely feel natural, like natural kids, which is hard to do in movies that have orphanages and stuff, but they nail it, I think, in this one. I think Janice is a real interesting character. When you have one of your main kids who suffers from polio or had issues with polio, so she has a brace and all that, you can't exactly get away quickly from a killer or a ghost or whatnot. Another reason why I love Child's Play movies with Nika in the wheelchair, right? Same thing here. And what they do with Janice, how they like break her down, and you figure she's eventually going to fight back and win. But no, that doesn't happen. She ends up being the crazy cultist from the first Annabelle movie, which kind of a cool twist, even though it doesn't make much sense. It's like, okay, cool twist, but you're telling me she went like 15 years or whatever, 20 years, whatever the years were, after she was possessed and just stayed possessed, living a life as this Satanist cult member before she eventually ran back into the doll by chance at her parents' neighbor's house? Like very, very ironic, very like as if that would ever happen. But again, at least it tries to tie this movie in and make the first movie make more sense, right? Make it feel like it's a part of the franchise. And this movie does a pretty good job on its scares, whether you're talking about the little girl going up the acorn stair lift or going down and the demon coming after her, and how slow those chairs are, to the freaking scarecrow outside scaring the other girls. I mean, the scarecrow almost deserves his own spin-off at this point. But yeah, the scares are really good. The effects are pretty good. Especially got that one, the mother there getting cut in half, pretty gnarly, and her face being all messed up. So great characters, great effects, pretty good atmosphere. Just a few little problems story-wise, like I said, with why would you have an orphanage in this place? But for the most part, Annabelle Creation is a fun time and easily the best Annabelle movie. Reaching my top 2, at number 2, I'm going with The Conjuring. Now, this movie has some pretty amazing camera work. Like, cinematography is freaking top notch. The directing is top notch. Those things are 10 out of 10s, let me tell you. The way James Wan just goes down the hallways with his camera. He doesn't fill the movie full of cheap jump scares. He fills it with moments you think are going to be jump scares and don't end up being jump scares. And then it makes you question, are they ever going to happen or not? And then bam, he gets you. And they're well deserved when they happen. They're like, a lot of these jump scares in movies, they're not earned. They feel definitely earned in this, especially the clap jump scare. Probably the best in the franchise, if I'm being honest. And just really clever how the kids were playing that game earlier, so you already kind of knew what to expect, but not at that moment. You didn't expect to clap. The movie just really gets under your skin with its lighting, its darkness. The sound design is really intense in here too. Another really good creepy scene is when one of the daughters thinks she sees someone behind the door, but it's this darkness. You don't see anything, but it almost makes you question, do I see someone in the darkness? Like, James Wan is just such good at getting under your skin. Let's just say that. And with the camera, he's just very good with that. It's not a perfect movie though. It's just really pretty much perfectly made. But story-wise, I mean, Ed and Lorraine are fantastic, even in this first movie. From the first time you see them, you kind of fall in love with them and fall in love with just the relationship the two of them have with each other, and how Ed respects Lorraine so much that he doesn't even want to ask her what she sees in her visions sometimes, and that if he knows it bothers her that much, like, he's willing to respect her boundaries and everything. You just really love these characters right from the get-go. The family, however, are very forgettable. I think the mom's good, but everybody else just kind of comes and goes, and you'll never remember about them after you're done this movie. As well as the villain, the witch. She's kind of interesting, but in the second half of the movie, it kind of just turns into your modern day exorcism movie, which I'm not the biggest fan of. But I do like the whole backstory on the witch and how she killed her daughter, her baby, and how it's kind of like poisoning all the land around and everything. All that's super interesting, as well as the little mirror game thing, little trinket that the kids find, and you can see Rory when you look at it in the mirror. That's a pretty cool little trinket that ends up at the Warrens' house eventually. So yeah, it's definitely a beautiful looking movie, very well made, has some good characters in it. The main family not so much, and the villain not my favorite, but still a really well made movie, and I can see why so many people love this film. I'm just not a big fan of this subgenre to begin with, so I can acknowledge and respect the hell out of this movie, but it's obviously not my favorite. But coming in the first place is The Conjuring 2. Does everything the first Conjuring does so well, but it also improves on it. To me, where the first family was kind of forgettable, I love the house and everything in the first movie, but the family was forgettable, where this time, I love the family. You really are rooting for them. You want them to be saved by Ed and Lorraine. Like, you really feel for them, especially for the main little girl and how she's being tormented and possessed and everything. So crazy how she gets teleported into that room and the cross is all turned upside down. Creepy ass stuff. This movie is the scariest out of all of them. Has the best atmosphere, the best villains with Valak, the Crooked Man. He barely gets any screen time, but he deserves his own movie. Just make a goddamn spin-off of the Crooked Man. Why don't you? I know they've been trying for 10 years, but just doesn't seem to be leaving production hell. But be cool to see that. I'd rather watch that than another Nun or another Annabelle movie, let me tell you. And even the old man ghost is kind of creepy, even though he's being manipulated by Valak. So the villains are amazing. The family is great. Ed and Lorraine are just as good as ever. And I love that little heart-to-heart talk you have with Lorraine and the kid on the swings. Now she says, someday you'll find your person that will make you whole like Ed did to her, and make you feel more normal and make you feel like you belong, So yeah, I absolutely love this flick. Like I said, not my subgenre, this haunted house, supernatural type thing, but this one is done so well. I think the scares are freaking amazing in here. Again, the cinematography, the way he goes down the halls and stuff is just perfect. So to me, this is easily the best movie in the franchise. My only nitpick is I wish they could have came up with a better way to defeat Valak. Just by saying her name kind of feels a bit lame. I don't know, I always kind of thought that, but the only problem I have with this movie, everything else is stellar, and is one of my favorite supernatural type flicks. So for me, this movie easily comes in the first place in my ranking. So there you have it, guys. There's my ranking of all 10 Conjuring universe films. I hope you enjoyed it. I know some people don't like to add in La Llorona, but it's friggin' part of it, okay? Just because it's bad doesn't mean it's not a part of it. But there's my ranking. I'd love to see yours down in the comment section. You can also follow me on Letterboxd, where you can see all my rankings I put out so far in lists and stuff like that. Follow me over there. I'll give you a follow back, that's for sure. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on anything in the future. Not the funnest franchise to binge watch, although I do enjoy over half of the films. Yeah, they did get a little bit too much the same after a while, I feel. But individually, they are quite good. Not super excited for phase 2 of The Conjuring, but I'll still be checking it out anyway. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for more horror content this October. And until next time, guys, thanks for watching.